Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias, where my head mount is still broken. I tried to wait it out and hope that it would arrive before I record it again, and that has not been the case. So I literally have tape surrounding my head mount. Hopefully my camera doesn't fall again. But today, we are taking a look at the Zenith V2, the updated look at the Zenith V2, and I just wanted to say before I open this quite beautiful package, that this is possible thanks to the support from you guys. Watching ads on this channel enabled me to buy this. I know YouTube ads are ridiculous right now, and I don't blame anyone who uses an ad blocker, but I really, really appreciate all the support that allows me to use this money to buy things to make videos on for you guys. And hopefully I'll be able to use that money to buy other highly requested things in the future. But if we open up this, as I said, beautiful package, which I adore, though I don't know why, I just really like this box. I like how it says Zenith Trainer, and they've got the Zenith transparently in the front there and all the lines on the side. It's a really, really attractive box, especially by Balisong terms. If you open it up, you will find some extra hardware, no bushings, but pivots, screws, and washers. And then you will find, if yours is anything like mine, you'll find the Bally boot very tightly latched around the bottom of the Zenith V2 to the point where I have not been brave enough to put it on anything else because of how much finagling and force it took to get it out the first time. So, I have solved the issue of where this thing is produced. If you go onto their technical specifications page, let me just pull it up so that you guys we can see this in the video. Let me turn down my brightness there so you can actually see it. We can see right in the spec sheet, it says country of origin is China. So this thing is made in China, so I will be evaluating it in that context. I will also be evaluating this at its retail price of about $65 rather than the garage sale price that I paid of $35. Because I'm going to be honest, even at $35, I don't really like this thing, so it's not going to be very difficult to separate how much I paid for it. But just know, I paid $35 for this because of a sale from Flytanium. There's a chance it's still going on. I don't know. I don't think so. If you can get it for that price, sure, it's a great option. But even at $35, I struggle to really enjoy this thing for a number of reasons. But here's what I want to clarify immediately. And if you only get one sentence from this video, I want it to be this sentence. This is a competent Balisong. If you like the look of it, if you want to buy one of these, I don't think you will necessarily be disappointed. However, I do believe that there are better options out there. Most notably, ignore that on the ground. Most notably, in my opinion, the cheese. If you're looking for something that kind of has a similar balance profile, not actually a super similar balance profile, but if you're looking for something that just has a better experience in all departments, in my opinion, and is mostly the same price, the cheese just is way better. But I'm going to throw that away for right now, onto the beanbag of safety, and let's talk about why I don't like the Zenith that much. Again, this is still a competent Balisong. Even for $65, it's not an awful value or anything like that. You're still getting bushings. You're still getting 70-75 aluminum. It's a decent deal. But I just have not been enjoying my time with it very much. Chaplains feel fine. Rollovers feel great. Unless your finger is scraping against the nipple here, which is way too long. And also someone pointed out while I was talking, I think it was in Discord or something like that, maybe it was a stream, that Flytanium really just loves to make Balisongs that have this huge Zen nipple. I don't understand what it is. The Fly one had an absolutely massive one, and now this one does. I don't get it. I don't know what is going on in that design room, but it doesn't make the Balisong feel very good at all. The other thing that doesn't make the Balisong feel very good is the tolerances. And while I usually don't take much attention to the tolerances, and it doesn't have tap, it's loose enough that it just makes it feel cheaper than most of the other options in the range, especially being a Chinese produced Balisong. The cheese just feels still kind of as shaky. Like, there is still that same amount of play when you shake it, but the cheese just feels so much more solid and put together than the Zenith does. And it just kind of leads it to feel even more cheap than it already does with this finish, because it's a bead blast, and I don't like bead blast, and the bead blast to me feels terrible. Your mileage may vary. I'm not going to harp on it too long because that's an extremely subjective point, but all of those things, the big Zen nipple, the looser tolerances, the bead blast, and especially the sound, I just don't think it sounds very good at all. It's very high-pitched and ringy. All of it just kind of combines to create an experience that just feels very cheap. And because it is cheap, I'm kind of at the point where it's like I'm complaining about a Balisong that 3 years ago would have been the literal savior of the beginner part of this hobby, because the only thing you could buy at that price point was a Squiddy Bee back in the day. And before the Squiddy Bee existed, nothing. You could buy like clones, and that was it. So I'm definitely falling victim to something that I've even talked about in previous videos, where we have this extremely cheap Balisong, and I'm complaining about things that shouldn't matter. But they just do, because the overall experience on this thing, like, I think really the tolerances are the thing that I care the least about, because it's a cheap Balisong. You should kind of expect it to have cheap tolerances, but it just feels cheap. The cheese, the impulse, the Orion, they all feel fairly premium in a way that the Zenith V2 just kind of doesn't. But even going beyond that, let's talk about flipping itself, because it's just not very exciting. I mean, it does everything that you would want it to do. Rollovers are sticky enough, chaplains don't fly off my finger, the bite handle marker is actually incredibly useful for training whether or not you're on the right side of the blade or not. But it still just feels off. My head mount, my tape has come loose on my head mount. Not enough for it to the camera to fall out, but I'm going to keep my head very level. Anyway, it does everything you want it to do. It's a competent Balisong. It fans, it choker fans, it rollovers, it chaplains, it zero Gs. It just doesn't feel like it's very excited to do any of it. Usually when you have a Balisong that kind of shines at doing something, like my cheese kind of shines at everything, it's just kind of consistent enough to work, and I really like it. Especially choker fans, I really like on the cheese. The Zenith doesn't really shine. It just kind of feels dull. Dull in kind of a boring way. I choker fan, and it just doesn't carry momentum very well. I roll over, and it doesn't carry momentum very well, and you're probably noticing a theme here. There's not a ton of momentum here. Something that I've talked about in other videos is the fact that when you're missing a pivot at the bottom of an aluminum-handled Balisong, you're going to lose out on a lot of momentum, and some designs make that work. This design makes it work objectively. It works. Every trick works. It doesn't feel bad in any specific way. But it just feels dull. It feels like I have to really work to get it to do the things that I want it to do. And it overall just creates an experience where it gets overshadowed by everything else in its price range. On its own, in a vacuum, it's a pretty competent Balisong, and honestly probably a pretty good deal to the right person out there for $65. But when you compare it to all of its peers, the cheese, the Orion, the Refault, even the original Default, you find something that just gets overshadowed in almost every single way. It's just kind of a dull Balisong. Not in the sense that it's a trainer dull, but it just doesn't spark a lot of joy. At least in me. Now, someone who has very similar taste to me, Cream Soda, person on Instagram that I really do respect. He has opinions that are very similar to mine. His collection is phenomenal. I love flipping his collection every Blade show. He actually really likes it. So again, this is a subjective thing. Some people are really going to like this. And I don't think that I hate this. Again, it is a competent Balisong. It does all the tricks that I want it to do in a good enough way. And I can't stress that enough. But we live in a world where there are so many other options that outshine it, in my opinion, in almost every single way. And as such, it doesn't really break through in any meaningful way into really any recommendation spot of mine, unless you can get it for $35. For $35, sure, I think this beats an Impulse. maybe not beats an impulse, but I definitely think that this is something to consider over an impulse. But for 65, just get something else would be my recommendation. But I don't hate it. If this is something you're really into, go for it. I don't think you'll be disappointed, per se. I don't think it's going to be some crazy, awful thing that you get it out of the package and you just hate it. But this definitely isn't a ballast song that I'm going to be coming back to in the future, like I come back to my cheese very often, actually. So, ultimately, I think the Zenith V2 just kind of fades into that obscure, overshadowed range for me personally. If you get it, if you love it, great. I can understand why someone would love this, but I personally do not. It just kind of remains a meh ballast song. It's dull. It's a dull knife. It can still cut some vegetables in the kitchen if you need it to. But ultimately, I'm looking to pull out my sharp knife that can actually cut through things much quicker. Weird analogy, but it really sums up how I feel about this thing. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the support that allows me to buy things like that. And I will see you all in the next one. Later. Here's a little post-Blade Bias commentary for those of you that stayed this long. I think it's horrendously ironic that this thing is called the Zenith, considering Zenith means like apex or peak of something. And man, is this just like not peak in almost any way, shape, or form. At least in my opinion, but your mileage may vary.